Hey guys, welcome back. Before we get started, I want to go ahead and say just a huge thank you to the community, all the folks that are commenting on these different videos and adding their own kind of background and knowledge and everything. That really helps out a lot. It helps me a lot. I think it helps everybody else that comes afterwards, kind of learning about some of the different nuances and some pieces that maybe don't work as you'd expect them to. Just a huge help. There's no way I could catch all this stuff, and I just really appreciate the comments. Just kind of to add to the knowledge and develop further strategy, further understanding of how to best optimize while we're playing this game. So just a huge thanks. I hope you guys are all kind of just right now, we're coming up on Christmas, and I hope you guys are going to have a great break and enjoy some of the time off. So without anything else, we'll go in and talk about this event. There's a lot of cool stuff going on, a lot of interesting pieces, and it's a little bit different for me than some of the previous ones, so we'll talk about that. Anyway, just starting off, we've got the Frightmare before Winterfest, the candy corn event. Candy corn's been I guess, just kind of a common currency that you get for the events, or this has come up several times before. You can see with ultimate skins, you can collect additional candy corn. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. And you can see some of the skins that are available. You also see a ×3 damage boost, and it says up to 120% bonus on candy corn. This depends on the skins you have on each of your characters, so it might actually be best if we go in looking at these. I think it's actually in the ones after this. If we go info here, based on these 3 skins, these featured skins, you can get a 35% bonus to candy corn, and any skin will give you a 15%. So I think where they're getting, let's see, where do they go back to it? It says up to 120% bonus. So you're seeing in here 35% times 3, that would be 105%, and then one normal skin that's not one of these featured ones, it'd get you up to 120%. So when you run a general level with no other situation, no other quests involved, you're going to get something on the order of 300. I think it's like 290, or at least that's where I am with the game. Maybe that's level dependent, but somewhere on the order of 300 of the currency, of those candy corn currencies. When you get that multiplier, it makes a huge difference. So right now, I don't have any of these featured hero skins, but I do have generalized skins. And so I'm putting those on my characters, and I can get up to 15% times 4, a 60% increase, which is pretty big. Something I wanted to point out is that only comes into place if you are actually running the level. It doesn't work with the quick loot function. It'd be great, but it doesn't, so you still have to grind a lot. You have to keep running these if you want to get that bonus, but you can get to some very high numbers doing that. Alright, kind of stepping forward, we'll look at these. So shiny pumpkins, again, same kind of thing. You click on it, that's a common for most of these. If you're running the levels, you can also, there's a couple additional benefits. So right, you can get the shiny objects, you can get the shiny pumpkins, that'll give you more of the currency, and then there are a couple different things in the quests that will help out if you have the time to run these levels. Somewhat unusual, we don't see this every time. The Tower of Ponage is incorporated, so there's some quest where you can get additional candy corn out of being able to run the levels in the Tower of Ponage. Again, why it's nice to have a team where you can go through and have pretty good success going up through the levels of the Tower of Ponage. You got the portal. Only really important, I mean, well, if you're looking for this character, but also if there's a quest. Every so often we get the same quest that unlocks another quest, and you've always got to do the 10 heroic summons rules, and then you'll unlock the next quest. We'll talk about that here when we go through quests. Alright, and then we've got kind of the normal stuff. So going into the quests. This is the one, Ice Zombie Uprising. We've seen this dynamic in other events. So if you do the 10 heroic rules, then you unlock this quest, and this quest is infinitely repeatable on that day. So I guess I kind of have to qualify. For anybody who's used to seeing this, if you do the heroic summons for that day, you unlock this quest, and you can repeat this one. You can kill 10 frosty invaders over and over and over again. But the quest resets daily, and you have to then redo the 10 heroic summons to get this quest to open back up again, and then you can do it as much as you want. It's not really intuitive from the way it's written, but that's the way that it works. Alright, you've got this, the next one down, Rise of the Field Reaper. There's some every time you go through this, there's a new, and we've seen this with other events as well, a different kind of sub-quest, and there's 10 of these all together. If you can get through them, they're 5,000 of the event currency each, and that's quite a bit, so you're going to get 50,000 just from this. If you want, this is one of those as well, where you can save it up for the day that you want to hit a higher threshold level. That's kind of what I did. Today's that day, and I'll show you the threshold rewards here in just a second. Pretty similar here, we've seen the win PvP raids. Every day, obviously, you have a few quests that you can compete as well, or you can complete, and you can get a bunch of rewards from that as well. Here's another one that's infinitely repeatable, and that's where you kill 10 of the raised skeletons. And it says any of the dungeons after Chapter 3. So if you are able to run these, not quick loot, then this is another way that you can rack up a lot of the event currency. It just helps out. You know, every time you're running, if you've got skins on 4 characters, doesn't matter if they're the featured ones, you're going to get roughly 500 every single time you run a level, as long as you're running it. And then similarly, you're going to take out quite a few of these skeletons for each run, and that'll give you 500 more. It can just add up pretty quickly. Again, some PvP raids that we can go through, and you can get currency from that. There's the Tower of Ponage quest, and PvP with Archon, something. However, if you put him on your team, I haven't yet, then you can get a bunch of currency that way as well. Alright, let's check out the shop real quick, event shop. So these are discounted, the featured skins, and I think the featured skins piece is only for today, then maybe there'll be different ones tomorrow, but there's often some special event that way as well. And I don't think, yeah, these aren't, though they don't say ultimate anyway, but these aren't ultimate skins, but it would help you to accumulate currency faster, and if you really like the skins, that would be a good time to pick it up. I'm not going to pick them up right now. It wouldn't help me that much for the single day. So we've got some other skins in here, as usual. We've got some really good elite runes, and I think this might be where I spend my currency. I've never gotten to these levels, up to like 500,000 on the event currency, but I think this might be the time. And I'll just talk about that once we get done. As I've talked about on this channel, I'm looking primarily for defensive type runes, especially defensive type for the elements that don't normally have defensive type. So water and light elements often have defensive stats. So defense, health, that's one I'd really like to kind of work on across my characters to make them more survivable, especially for that flying team that I talk about sometimes. If they're more survivable for a given round, and as long as they can heal, then they're going to heal every single round, and it really works well, just to kind of sustain and win over time through attrition. So that's kind of what I'm working towards. Within the options here, we actually don't have a great defensive base rune that's an off element from what you already get. So, for example, again, light and water often have defensive runes. That's what they have right here, and then the ones, fire, it's attack based, and that's what you normally get. So nothing too exciting. We don't have any of the tainted runes. That would be exciting as well. That would be interesting. We've had some people talk about it in the comments. I was less familiar with tainted, that like prefix, but those are very helpful to add chaos damage, and they are in the shop for some other events. Alright, we go down through here. Similarly, we've got good tokens for some of the meta heroes. I've got several of these heroes on between the 2 teams that are my favorites right now. Whoever's probably close to the next star level, and I think Lorelei's would fulfill that for me. There's a good chance if I'll go one of those 2 routes, I might end up getting more of her tokens and leveling her up the rest of the way. If we go all the way over and we see loot keys, these are much more expensive than the previous event we had talked about. That was the place to really load up on these, so I'll wait around again until the next time we get to that event, and I'll be dumping it in to get a bunch of loot keys as well. At this point I think from that event I got something like 2,000 loot keys, so that's maybe even more. That's a great way to get the loot keys when it's time, but this isn't the time. Alright, so I want to talk about really quickly what I'm doing primarily is working through, just trying to run these things quickly. I don't think I have many more than 4 characters that actually have their skins. So one thing I noticed, if you go in here I went to the lower chapters to try to run levels faster, because I'm actually trying to run a lot of levels. and not quick loot it, but actually, use the energy to run it. If you look through here for anything that's below 5, you don't have the additional event-specific characters or enemies. So if you look in here, now you have them. Now you've got the ice golem, you've got the zombie, starting at level 5. So there's another aspect that starts at level 3, but with these two, and specifically with the zombie, that's the one with the unlockable quest related to rolling 10 heroic summons, starts showing up in level 5, or chapter 5. So you can run it here. I don't have strong advice at this point. I'm just kind of playing with it to see if is it worth it for me, because I'm running a lot of levels. Will it be worth it for me to stick down here in this chapter? The rewards aren't as good, the evos aren't as good, runes maybe doesn't matter so much, and I'm not getting as much gold, but I can run it faster. And if I'm trying to get through a lot of these, and at the end of the day I'm probably going to have to quick loot to use the rest of my energy, there's a good chance I'm going to go to the Aether shop and use some of the Aether to get 1,000 energy, to go over here, cash that in for 1,000 energy, and then I can just keep running these. The goal for me, and here we'll go in again, said leaders. Thanks again to the community for pointing this out to me. I don't know how I had missed it, but really appreciate those who did point it out. You can see your daily total. So right now I'm at about 100,000, and you go to rewards and you can see those threshold rewards. So I hadn't found this previously. Some folks from the community had helped point it out. I'm really hoping you get up to that 250,000. And if you look here, this is a dark type, and it's defensive based. So double defense, then health, and then prevents the next debuff. Can't be stolen, copied, or purged. This is defense focused, but a dark type. That's not super common for me. A lot of the dark ones similarly are attack type. Maybe there's a vampiric on it, so you're going to get some health steal. But I'd like to have some so I can make kind of fully defensive based characters. And that can be very helpful. So that's my goal, try to hit this very high threshold reward for today. I think I've got a good shot at it. I can run the numbers on if I did everything with the Aether shop with 1,000 stamina, then I should get very high. I should get very good numbers that way, get right up near that. I think I could get something like 100,000 if I run all of the energy from that. But I don't know if I'll have the patience for it. So maybe at the end of the day I might buy 2 of them, get 2,000 energy, and quick loot as far as I can go, because it's just going to get too monotonous, and I likely will run out of time. But anyway, you have the ability, if you've got the time, especially if you've got something where you can just keep it going on the side, and you're doing something else, it just takes away a little bit. So I wish there was a way you could just auto and have it keep running until you're out of stamina. That would be great, but probably also something they would boot you for. So anyway, I think that's all I've got to say about this event. Enjoying it. There's good rewards, especially some of those threshold rewards, and at least now this is my first time knowing where those thresholds are and being able to work towards them kind of more intelligently and picking the one that's the most valuable for me. So that's what I'm going to be working on. You can see I've got tons and tons and tons of potential dungeon raids as well, and those give you something like 500 or so event currency as well, so you can get a ton out of that. And I think those are also impacted by skins, but the characters I have skins on, a lot of them aren't strong enough for me to put them in my team. So that's it. I hope everyone has a great time, a great break, and continues to enjoy the game. Leave any comments, anything that I've missed. Again, it really helps everybody else out if you can leave comments in there. I appreciate it if you can like and or subscribe. Keeps the channel going, gets it out to more people. But especially those comments, I think, helps anybody else that's looking for these same kind of answers. All right, thanks again. Hope you guys have a great break.